Hey and welcome back, and in this lesson we are going to look at the mirror modifier in Blender. So I'm going to start off by deleting the lamp and our camera, so select those and delete them, and then we're going to use this cube as an example for the mirror modifier. So using a mirror modifier is a very powerful tool when it comes to 3D modeling, because it means you only have to model the one side of your object and then everything will be mirrored on the other side. Now again, there are a few different ways to enable mirroring in Blender, but I'm going to show you how to do it via a modifier. So first of all, I'm going to delete half of this cube. So it's always a good idea just to delete half of the model that you're starting with, and that way it will mirror the other side, and then you can start modeling only on the one side of that model. So with this cube selected, I'm going to press tab on the keyboard to go into edit mode, and I want to put a loop cut right in the center, so I have a center line that I can actually break this apart. So on the keyboard, I'm going to press Ctrl R for loop cut, and I want to set that loop cut right here. So I'm just going to click once, and then I don't want to move it around. I'm just going to right click to center that, and then I'm going to click away to accept that. So now you can see we have a cube that's got this line going through the center, so we can now easily remove this one side. So I'm going to make sure I'm in face select mode, so pressing 3 on the keyboard, and I'm going to click and hold in shift, and I'm just going to select all these faces on this side, also at the bottom. So all of those faces are selected, and then I'm going to press X on the keyboard to delete them, and this is going to come up with a little bit of a different menu because it's actually asking me now, do I want to delete the vertices or the edges or the faces? So I'm just going to click on faces. It doesn't really matter because yes, we don't want to delete these middle vertices, so the best option will probably be faces. So I'm just going to click on faces, and I can see we removed half of this cube. So we only have a half, and as you can see, it's hollow. So now we are ready to add our modifier to this half cube. So I'm going to go out of edit mode, so press tab on your keyboard, back into object mode. And with this half cube selected, I'm going to go to the modifiers panel on the side, which is this spanner or the wrench. And I'm going to click on add modifier, and then we're going to select mirror. So you'll see that there is the mirror modifier. And if I apply that, you can't see that anything is happening on our screen in the viewport, because we need to make sure that the axis we are mirroring from is correct. So if we look at this little axis here on this icon here on the side, you can see that we need to mirror on the on the Y axis. The X axis is this red line going this way, and the Y is this green one going from left to right. So we need to mirror on the Y axis, and by default this mirror modifier is set to mirror across the X axis. So I'm going to untick X, and then I'm going to tick Y, and there you can see it mirrored this one side to the other side, and we are back to a perfect cube. Obviously, if you want to mirror from top down, you will use the Z axis. Also, if you have an object in the center of your two sides, you can also use a mirror object. Then you just click on this little dropper and you select that center object, and then it will mirror around that object. But for this example, we're just going to use the axes. Then here at the bottom, you have some options. You can enable merge, which means it's going to merge the vertices when they get to the center, which is always a good thing to do. And the merge limit is 0.001 meters, which means if those vertices come closer to each other and they get to this threshold, they will snap together and become one vertex. Another thing to enable, which is also very good, is this clipping. So clipping will basically allow or not allow you to move something over the mirror line, or this X-axis basically. So if I'm in edit mode, I won't be able to, maybe let's say if I go into vertex mode, I can't take this vertex and move it across this line. You can see it's actually clipping it there. So you want to enable that on here as well. And now we are ready to start modeling. So make sure you go into edit mode by pressing tab, And now we can start by, let's say, extruding this side. So obviously we can't select anything on the right hand side because that is just a mirror image. We need to work on the side where we started. So I'm going to select this face right there, and I'm going to press E on the keyboard to extrude, and you'll see the same is happening on the other side. So now I can scale it down as well. So I'm going to press S on the keyboard and I'm going to scale that down, and let's extrude it again. Maybe let's extrude from here, extrude to the front, and maybe let's scale that up, and maybe let's extrude that again, extrude again, scale down. Maybe let's go to this area right here. I'm going to extrude that out. I'm going to scale that in the X or in the Y direction. So S and then Y. And let's extrude that again. And extrude that again. Scale it down. And as you can see, it's very, very simple to create some very interesting looking things really quickly by just using the mirror modifier. Really cool for creating some spaceships or anything really that has got a mirror image on the one side. So I can extrude both those. Maybe I have something here on the side that kind of might be a wing or something. So you can move them around, move them in the X direction. And as you can see, I'm just creating some very random looking things here. And there we have a very weird looking spaceship. So yeah, that is basically the mirror modifier. And always remember not to apply this while you're busy doing your modeling, because I can now go and if I go out of edit mode by pressing tab, I can always go in and I can go and apply this modifier, and that will remove the mirror modifier, but it will make everything editable. So let me show you. So if I click apply, that mirror modifier is going to disappear. And if I go into edit mode right now, I can now start and I can do things on the one side and it will not replicate over to the other side. So you always need to kind of decide when you are ready to apply that modifier. But a good example is to just duplicate your object before you want to delete that modifier or apply that modifier, and then maybe move that object into a backup collection so that you have an option if you want to go back and carry on with that mirror modifier, you can. So just save it into a separate collection, switch that collection off so you don't see it, and then that will be your backup. So I will see you in the next lesson.